This is Partners in Crime with Adam Croft and Robert Dawes.
Hello, Bob.
Hello there, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. What a week it has been.
It certainly has. They fly by these days, don't they? Well, for me they do, but I'm so much older than you.
That's a bit of an in-joke because we're recording this first thing Monday morning this week.
Yes, that's it. Our mystery timetable is out. I think everyone knows about it already. We record these when and where we can. Well, not where. We always record them in the same place, and that's Adam's studio. But it is Monday morning, and I'm getting ready to travel away, so we've had to squeeze it in early doors.
Yes, early doors. Yes, you did hear, and he was. Yeah. But yes, we. So if we are a little quiet, a little subdued, a little sounding like it's first thing on a Monday, that is why. But we'll pretend it's Friday, as we always do.
We do it. Yes.
It was a marvellous week, wasn't it? I particularly enjoyed Thursday.
Thursday was spectacular. The heat was extraordinary. I mean, I'm saying this now, and let's this sound like Doctor Who, isn't it? Time travelling.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be filming this week, and one thing you don't want to hear when you're going to be filming indoors in full black tie costume and everything is that it's going to be in the mid-30s outside.
Well, we don't want to tempt fate, and we don't want this to go out on Friday and to look stupid. So if we cover all angles, perhaps. That rain on Thursday.
Oh, wasn't it marvellous? And it was. I quite like working in a chilly climate. I was very glad to be wearing that scarf in scene 3. So yeah, that's it. Are we covered?
I think we're covered.
We're covered in something. Anyway, so
not glory.
Have we had any interesting crime fiction insights this week?
Well, we have had a few. I've been browsing the news, as I tend to do, and one that caught my eye, and you might guess why, was in the Times, with a headline that reads, Slashers v Snobs in Literary Bloodbath at Edinburgh Book Festival.
What? The
event has been accused of lowering standards with too much gory tartan noir crime fiction.
Well, that's a contentious headline.
We like contentious headlines, and we like the literary snobbishness and the kind of the sides of the industry that perhaps readers don't always get exposed to, and letting them know what goes on. Yeah,
it's just as well. So what actually did go on?
Well, the article opens by mentioning that Scottish crime novels tend to give you the impression that Scotland's cities are, I quote, awash with blood, and practically everyone you meet is either a serial killer or a damaged but determined police inspector. It's what's known as tartan noir, of course.
Scotland's not alone in that. I mean, look at Oxford.
Yeah.
You can go to London. You can go to most of the major cities. Manchester.
Yeah.
Hull.
Yeah, which is why the annual Edinburgh International Book Festival does tend to have quite a crime focus. We've got Val McDermid, Christopher Brookmeyer, amongst the people speaking and appearing there this year. But festival organisers have been warned that too much crime will diminish the gathering's reputation at the expense of serious literary offerings, says the article in the Times.
Serious literary offerings.
Oh, I know. You're preaching to the choir here.
Drives you nuts.
Nick Barley, the director of the book festival, is under fire for pandering to popular tastes when he supposedly should be trying to elevate them, the Times says. Robert McDowell, director of Edinburgh's prestigious Summerhall Marty Arts Complex, suggested this year's festival has somewhat lost its way. Stuart McBride, friend of the podcast, and top Scottish crime writer, he weighed in to say crime fiction is the most read genre in the UK, possibly the world, so it's not surprising the festival has crafted its programme to give more people the opportunity to attend events about it. They're not daft, Stuart says. Sadly, there remains a lot of ill-informed snobbery that believes you can judge the literary merit of a book by its subject matter. Much of Charles Dickens is crime fiction. There's Fyodor Dostoevsky, Emily Bronte, Victor Hugo, Robert Louis Stevenson. Are these writers to be considered substandard now? He added, perhaps we should all get down off our extremely high horses and let people enjoy things.
Yeah.
That was Stuart's take on it. But interestingly, there was a bit of commentary at the end of the article in the Times, which said, I'll read these 2 paragraphs. The exploration of a single character through a series of novels is okay when Marcel Proust, Anthony Powell or Karl Ove Knausgaard do it, so why should it be downgraded by the literary snobs when that character is a detective? Yet the slow development of Ian Rankin's Rebus or Michael Connolly's Bosch are great achievements, as the reader can follow the unfolding of a life in all its flaws and complexity through book after book. Is that a crime?
Well, There we are. Well, this is a constant theme through these podcasts, isn't it?
Well, us getting on our high horses.
Yeah. Yes.
And telling other people to get off their high horses so that we can climb on.
Yeah, well, exactly. How high is a horse? How many hands high is a horse? So, what? Oh, you've got something else there. An evening with what?
An evening with David Cameron, says the advertisement here. Again, this was in the Times.
Go swiftly over that.
Well, yeah, this was the Sunday Times of this week. Gave us what it says are its 100 best summer reads of 2019.
Oh.
So I'm just going to skip over most of them and focus on the crime. It picked as its top crime thriller The Witch Elm by Tana French, which it calls an immersive family mystery that revolves around the discovery of a mysterious skull hidden in a tree in the grounds of an ancestral home. Which sounds very interesting. I'm going to try and find the other crime thrillers that it mentioned. There was The Lost Man by Jane Harper. The Border by Don Winslow, which I think came up somewhere else, didn't it?
Yes, right. I think we looked at both of those.
No Way Out by Cara Hunter. Another one here that seems to pop up quite a bit at the moment in the must-reads for this year, Joe Country by Mick Herron.
Yes.
There's Dead Land by William Shaw. Scrublands by... There's a lot of lands, isn't there? Scrublands by Chris Hammer. Two Girls Down by Louisa Luna, and Murder in the Crooked House by Soji Shimada.
Well, that sounds like a very traditional... It was great.
Murder in the Crooked House. It doesn't sound very Agatha
Murders
Christie,
begin on the
doesn't it?
first night in this brilliant and immensely satisfying locked room mystery set in an isolated mansion on Japan's northern shore. Well, I'm rather drawn to that.
Yeah, it does. It does definitely read like an Agatha Christie, doesn't it?
Well, yeah.
And even the title. If Agatha Christie was Japanese,
Which, of course, she wasn't.
Famously not.
Mind you,
No.
I did watch Antiques Roadshow last night, and they were doing the best of the last 15 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And there was a lady who bought a box from Greenway in an auction or whatever, and they found a sort of little sort of secure box in it, and they opened it, and there was a diamond brooch and a diamond ring. Which were
Of Agatha Christie's?
Yeah, and one was sold for something in the region of £18,000, and the other one was sold for something in the region of £19,000.
Blimey.
And she bought the box for 100. That's a pretty good deal. These things can happen, you see.
Yeah,
You know?
that's a profit, isn't it?
Every box has a silver lining.
or full of Agatha Christie's jewellery. Either way.
So great. Well, then, lots of good reads there. And as I say, many of those names have come up before, apart from Murder in the Crooked House by Soji Shimada.
Well, I'm getting that.
Which is definitely on my to-buy list. So this week, well, I'm looking at the TV this week.
I'll make a change.
Yeah, exactly. But belatedly in one case, and sort of up to scratch as regards UK viewing, with the return of Big Little Lies. Many of you will know that it came out in February 2017 now. Wow. So it's 2 years. And the second half, the second series, hit the airways last week in the UK. I don't know whether it's been on previously in the United States and Canada and elsewhere, but long expected, great expectations actually for this series. I, as you probably remember, or maybe don't if you're new to Partners in Crime, absolutely loved the first series. This extraordinary balance between small town rivalries, wealthy housewives with their ambitions, abuse, domestic abuse, leading to murder. All filmed in California, in Monterey, a wonderful place if you've ever been there, and very atmospheric. I always sort of Monterey. It's that bit where I may be wrong here, but it's where Southern California turns into Northern California. So you go from the deep sunshine of the south to the slightly more, dare I say it, British quality to the weather. Lots of sunshine at times, but also mists and winds and rain, which is one of the reasons why Robert Louis Stevenson was drawn to Monterey in the 19th century.
What you want for your crime fiction? A bit of atmosphere.
A bit of atmosphere. Anyway, it has a great atmosphere. It's beautifully shot. So, the second one turns up. I'm only 2 episodes in because you can't get it all at once. Do you know, I find that increasingly annoying these days.
Yeah,
is it because
your wife doesn't, as we discovered last week?
No, Amy doesn't. She's quite happy to wait a week and watch it, as she says, with everyone else, apart from the fact that everyone else isn't watching it at the same time as her, on the whole. So
they're watching it on the TV.
You can't get the whole series on catch up. They're eking it out one by one for maximum effect. And it picks up brilliantly, I think, from the last series. I'm not going to do any spoilers, although I have mentioned the word murder, but there has been a murder at the end of the first series, and an awful lot of guilt amongst the wealthy ladies of Carmel and Monterey, even though the person who met their end thoroughly deserved it in many cases. However, so how does the second series go on? Well, very interesting. They've got a new director, which is sort of gives it a slightly different look. That's Andrea Arnold, sort of looking at the second series for a very, very female gaze, quite rightly, and has lost none of its style and presentation in that respect. And there is a new villain. Played by, I think, probably the finest actress in the world. I don't say that lightly, and there are many, 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 many of them. One of the finest actors in the world, Meryl Streep. I'm not going to go into great details about her character, but she comes into this community in search of answers, and boy, is she effective. It's an absolutely chilling performance, basically because on the surface she seems to be just fine and very polite and very nice, but you know and you can see how steely and controlling she actually is. The acting by everyone involved, and look at the cast. I mean, for goodness sake, you've got Reese Witherspoon, you've got Laura Dern, you've got Nicole Kidman. They are all absolutely fantastic. And one thing that I didn't realise, that this was originally taken from a book. You can actually buy the book, Big Little Lies, by Lianne Moriarty, and it was set in Australia. These were Australian women living in a small, wealthy community. And it was only when the rights were bought by Reese Witherspoon's company and Nicole Kidman. Of course, I can understand why Nicole Kidman would want to do so with an Australian setting. And HBO picked it up. It was originally down to be adapted as a movie project for them both. But HBO picked it up and said, let's, do you want to turn it into a television? Which, of course, they did. And when they brought on the talents of the wonderful David E. Kelly, one of the greatest writers in American television, anyone who is an aficionado and lover of 6 Feet Under will agree with that, I'm sure. He came up with the idea that they should change the location to the photogenic cliffs of Monterey, California, a decision which has worked marvellously. So anyway, do you watch the second half, if you've not watched it, please go back and watch the first one, make up your own decision. But the second series so far is living up to everything the first series promised, developing the stories onwards. At the end of the first series, you thought, where can this possibly go? This seems to have come to a conclusion. Well, Mr. Kelly, and indeed, I believe they went back to Lianne Moriarty, who came up with the story for the second half, has led it in another direction, which makes absolute sense, but is still full of surprises, full of extraordinary performances, and full of tension. And it's only just getting going. So that's Big Little Lies. Catch it if you can.
Marvellous. I will. We talk sometimes about how this odd little world of crime fiction tends to spill over and pop up in some strange places. Something that I read in passing while I was looking at something else. Sorry to interrupt. I love that phrase you use. What was it? I caught him in passing. Yeah. I
have this image of you sort of going, wandering around, then suddenly your eye is caught.
That's pretty much. I was wandering around the internet.
Wandering around the internet.
But yeah, it's basically what happened.
You don't keep us fit that way, and there's no need really to whistle.
No, but okay. I do, because it adds to the atmosphere.
Oh, sorry, apologies for interrupting.
That's all right. No, some friends of Partners in Crime, and some hopefully future friends of Partners in Crime, as we've spoken about a few times. Stuart Neville, Mark Billingham, Chris Brookmeyer, Doug Johnston, Val McDermott, and Luca Veste. They have a band called the Fun Loving Crime Writers.
They certainly do, and it's
spoken
brilliant.
about before. This is very odd. Tomorrow, they're playing Glastonbury.
Well, of course they are.
Which I find incredible and fantastic. So just wanted to wish them, if they listen, which of course they do, of course they are subscribed.
That is really fulfilling your dreams in two major professions. How many people have the talent and the dedication to actually be best-selling authors and pop stars?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, how many people go into crime writing thinking, one day I'll be playing Glastonbury.
I'm going to win all these awards for my books, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to play in front of thousands at Glastonbury. I mean, it's a major achievement, isn't it?
Did you call it Glastonbury?
Did I call it Glastonbury?
I don't know. I think we did. Sounded like it.
Oh, did I call it Glastonbury?
Glastonbury. Love it.
Glastonbury.
Go there on your gap year.
Glastonbury.
So yeah, tomorrow, Saturday, June 29th, they'll be playing on the acoustic stage at Glastonbury, which I find absolutely incredible. Yeah, I think that's brilliant. So yeah, best of luck to them all. Something else I spotted on crimefictionlover.com, one of our favourite websites.
God, you do really find a lot in passing.
Well, I have to get something to talk about, don't I? I thought it was quite an interesting article. It's a couple of weeks ago now, but it's one entitled 10 Crime Shows That Time Forgot. And it's there are 10 crime shows, ones that you might have not realised were on, you might have forgotten. You might look at and think, oh, you remember that.
It's not really a game you can play because you've forgotten them.
Well, yeah, but they've remembered them. So there's one here from 1981 called The Chinese Detective.
Oh, it's David Yip.
Yes, David Yip. And this guy here who I recognise but can't think of his name. Of course, nobody else can see him, so it's irrelevant, really, but he's been in lots of stuff since.
Yes, he's a very well-known actor. So well-known, I've forgotten his name too.
Yeah, well, sorry to the other guy who's not David Yip. So The Chinese Detective from 1981, Shoestring.
Oh, I remember
a couple of years earlier.
I mean,
Trevor Eve.
Richard Harris, the writer of terrific stage thrillers, and many television shows, kicked that one off, and then went on to adapt Frost. Yeah. So that had a good pedigree.
It's come out with Lovejoy, which I didn't realise was forgotten.
Well, not by me, I was in it.
I think that's probably why everyone else has tried to forget it.
Well, exactly.
Ian McShane there. Macmillan and Wife.
I used to love that.
71 to 77 with Rock Hudson and
St John,
Susan St James.
St James, that's it. Oh, I used to love Macmillan and Wife.
There's another interesting one there. MacLeod.
I remember that.
17,
used to watch it. Dennis Weaver, isn't it?
Dennis Weaver, yeah. Lord Peter Wimsey. Which of course we're, as fans of genre, we're well aware of. But Ian Carmichael, is it?
That is the lovely Ian Carmichael, yes.
That was 72 and 75.
Yeah,
incredibly.
Yeah.
Spender between 91 and 93, which Jimmy Nail co-wrote and starred him.
Don't remember that.
No, I don't either. It obviously went down really well. The Last Detective, between 2003 2007.
2003. I think that was Richard Harris as well.
Possibly.
Yes, that's Peter Davison, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
It is. Yes. Yeah. Doctor Whom, as he was, and Richard Griffiths, Pie in the Sky.
I remember that.
94 to 97. I was
in that as well.
Well, yeah. Oh dear.
Dear.
This is why all these shows died without a trace, isn't it? Due South.
Oh, I love
Leslie
Due
Nielsen,
South.
94 to 99. So yeah, it's just these things you look at. You think, I remember that.
Can you think of any other ones? Do you remember these? I'll throw some American ones at you because growing up in the 70s, the television
American
was
in the 70s. I'm British and born in the 80s. How many of these do you think I was going to remember?
This is it. I didn't say it was going to be easy.
Go for it. Let's
try. Detective series that were on before you were born.
In a country I've never been in.
So I'm changing the rules here. Do you remember? Well, we all remember Rockford Files, which became the biggest.
I've heard of it at least.
Have you never seen it?
No, I don't think so.
Well, James
not
Garner.
on purpose.
Oh, God, it's terrific. Do you know it was the most watched programme of all time, pretty much?
Was it?
It was one of the first big series to get syndicated worldwide.
More than Love Island?
Yeah, and it was always on the television. For years, it's probably still running. For years, you always used to turn up in the States or anywhere in the world, really, and you could turn up and there would be James Garner, dubbed in Japanese, Czechoslovakian. But you can't say Czechoslovakian, Slovakian or Czech.
I did see Midsummer Murders in the Czech Republic once.
Oh, did you?
Dubbed over, yeah.
Oh, that was
and it was
interesting.
the name of it was something bizarre, like a murdery midsummeroo,
Oh, right.
or something along those lines. I thought
Sort of the way I pronounce it.
I thought you could have worked out what it was, really, without knowing any Czech. But it's very odd.
Yes, well, you can never tell whether whenever you watch my performance, you can never tell whether I'm dubbed or not. How about this one? Do you remember Banachek?
No.
George Peppard.
No.
Listeners may remember Banachek. Used to open with him rowing along a sort of a river or canal in the middle of a big city. How about Cannon?
No. I
Frank
remember
Cannon.
Cannon and Ball.
No,
Tommy Cannon.
A very different, a great Frank Cannon. These are all sort of 70s sort of shows. I used to love them all.
Well, maybe
And
the
then, of course,
listeners
you
should
had-
get in touch.
You had Cagney and Lacey, and you had
course.
Starsky and your Hutch.
Magnum PI.
And you had your Magnum PI and all those sort of things. You had Hawaii Five-0 with the original with Jack Lord.
Yeah.
Bookham done it. So, I mean, the 70s, certainly from an American point of view, was absolutely huge with detective programmes. I think much more than in the UK. I mean, I think we probably would have had our P.D. James. We would have had our Z cars back then. We would have had our Softly Softlies. We would have had our police procedurals. But oh, yes.
What's her name? You know the one.
Oh, her. Yes.
It was written by the guy who lives just up the road from here, who died a few years back. The
Avengers.
The Avengers, yes.
The Avengers.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Avengers.
So there we are. Well, anyway, we're back on television very quickly. Late to the party, I've been catching up with Killing Eve, and I've just finished episode 3. Do you know what? I didn't watch it straight off the bat because I was too busy, and I thought I'm going to save that because I'm going to really look forward to that because I absolutely adored the first series. And then I started reading all this rather negative stuff coming back, saying, "Oh, it's not as good as it was." So I sort of put it off for another week. Anyway, I'm catching up now, and I'm very glad I did. For those who haven't seen it, Killing Eve is a BBC One drama about an assassin, extraordinarily well played by Jodie Comer, and sought after by British intelligence, and I say British intelligence, personified by the American actress Sandra Oh, playing Eve Polastri, who is spent the whole of the first series trying to track this mysterious woman assassin down. Villanelle is the name of the assassin, and Jodie Comer plays her, I think, quite splendidly, an absolute and total psychopath who will kill without a second's thought. The first series was written primarily by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, known by all and everyone for her wonderful Fleabag creation, and she did an extraordinary job. And rumour has it that although she's not writing this second series of Killing Eve, she's been brought in to help with the new James Bond. And a brilliant job she'll do of it, no doubt. So where do we pick up for season 2 of Killing Eve? Well, about 30 seconds after the end of the last series. Why were people criticising it?
Because they don't know what they're talking about. I thought it was brilliant.
I have to say I think it's absolutely brilliant. Okay, it may not have the huge sweep and pace of the initial series in its early days, and it may be a little more domestic, although it starts in Paris and moves to the UK. It's an extraordinary story. It's a love story. It's a story of obsession. It's a story of murder. murder, it's a story of revenge. It's all packed in, and it's done with at times an extraordinary wit, and it's, you find yourself laughing out loud. It's very, very black humour, quite clearly, but that has continued into the second series, and the new writer is I think I've forgotten her name actually. Where is her name? Is that terrible? Anyway, we've got a new writer brought in who's, I think, doing a terrific job. As some people have said that she's not, but I'm sorry, I disagree. I think she's doing a great job. Production standards are very high. The performances are, as ever, terrific. We've got Fiona Shaw, who is playing the head honcho of British intelligence, doing a fantastic job as they battle against an organisation known as the 12, who has been sending out this villanelle to kill all sorts of people around the globe for their own wicked ends, and British intelligence have been brought in to sort this out. And that was the first series. Now the second series, we find that there is a new twist. Jodie Comer has been stabbed and is on the run, and certainly spends the first 2-3 episodes in desperate straits. Brilliantly played by, I keep on saying it, Jodie Comer. I think she's superb.
Well, her name.
She manages. It's almost as if she manages to switch from accent to accent. Yeah. She manages to. Her physicality is extraordinary. Her timing is exquisite. If she's learnt to kill as well as she's learnt everything else, she's a formidable foe. But she really holds this whole thing together. And not to say that Sandra Oh isn't brilliant in her own right, and the rest of the cast aren't equally so. But it really is Villanelle's story, and I am absolutely hooked. So if you've not watched it because you've heard some negative things coming from the press, people saying they don't like, give it a go and come to your own conclusions, because it really is worth it. And if you haven't seen any of Killing Eve, get the first series, watch that, and again, I guarantee, well, I don't guarantee, I can't guarantee, what can I give you?
We don't offer your money back.
No, we don't. I'm not even a Partners in Crime mug. We're sitting here drinking our coffee out of ordinary mugs. What happened to the Partners in Crime?
We've got none left. You keep giving them away.
Oh, right. In that case, we can't offer any compensation for those people who've taken a recommendation from us and have been sadly disappointed. No mugs on the way to anyone, because we have a very, very astute Chancellor of the Exchequer here at Partners in Crime who watches every single penny. It's a nice enough mug, but it's not what I'm used to, quite frankly.
Anyway, £2.50 a pop from Next, I think they were.
Is that really?
Something like that.
Yes, it looks like it. Yes, watch episode 1 if you haven't already. If you have seen series 1, and if you have seen series 1 and have been put off the thought of watching series 2, don't. Have a go.
I wouldn't have known it was a different writer.
No?
I thought it was brilliant.
No, well, I feel very guilty, actually.
I did know, but I wouldn't have known.
I should actually know the writer's name, and I cannot for the life of me find it.
Yes, you should.
In my notes. Yes, I know.
I'm going to hold a silence here to make you feel even more awkward while you're flicking through your papers.
Well, okay, here it comes. And how about this? Emerald Fennell.
I knew that
is the
well,
writer's name, and I think a hugely talented addition. It must have been a tough gig, one that you cannot turn down.
She's an actress as well, I think. I've seen her in things.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I must Google properly. I must do my research.
Might be making this up.
But Emma Fennell has stepped into Phoebe Waller-Bridge's shoes, and I think she's doing extremely well. So better than extremely well. She's doing fantastically well. So anyway, watch it. Killing Eve, season 2, BBC. It's available on Catch Up, I think, and I'm sure all good platforms throughout the universe.
We have to have a running obsession, don't we? At any given point on Partners in Crime.
I try not to run at all.
Talk about every week.
Oh yeah, yes. You may have noticed running ain't my favourite thing.
No, I do need to catch up on last week's Killing Eve, actually. So that's what I'm going to go and do. You're off. You're filming this week.
Yes, I am. I'm off. I'm doing
anything fun.
Yeah, well, it is. I'm playing a guest role in an episode of Sky's Agatha Raisin. It's a smashing script by Chris Neal, and a lovely cast, of course. Anyone who's seen it will know that. And it's just great fun. It's witty. It's Midsummer gone nuts. And I play. I'm looking forward to it. I'm playing a character, so I'm heading off down to the West Country. He says with his broad Norfolk accent. This afternoon.
It's not part of the character, is it?
No.
Thank God for that.
No, happily for everyone, it's not part of the character. It is really.
Well, have fun. We'll talk about that episode a little nearer airtime. We'll bring it up again and give you time to perfect your accent. But I think that'll do for me this week. That'll do for you.
That's it. We'll try not to bring up anything again.
Ta-ta, my lovelies.
Bye.
Partners in Crime was presented by Adam Croft and Robert Dawes and produced by Adam Croft. The theme tune was by the Caesareans. The Partners in Crime logo and imagery were designed by Stuart Beisch. Partners in Crime is sponsored by Kobo, your favourite local bookshop, perfected.